Welcome. My name is Michael Yonezawa, and I am a early experience teaching and learning librarian at the University of California, Riverside. Our current library instruction plan for the Biology 5LA Introduction to Cell and Molecular Biology Laboratory course has traditionally consisted of two parts. One, an online tutorial, and two, an in-person one-shot instruction session. This talk will briefly cover the history of our instructional support for the biology department, and will cover the evolution and development of both the online as well as the in-person instruction. The main emphasis will, of course, focus on the development of our in-person instruction. For the sake of time and efficiency, I will briefly pause for 5 seconds on each of the next 3 slides before continuing. Here's some background information about myself. A little information about the Teaching and Learning Services Department. And some information about our course-related instruction program. So one of the tools that I use in my toolbox is the user model developed by Shar Booth to help design my lesson plans. A second edition is scheduled to be available sometime this summer, so you may want to look for it in the ALA store if you are interested. Here's a better view of the individual components of the user model, and I will expand on how I utilize the individual steps to develop a new lesson plan for the Biology 5LA course. I also utilize the principles of backwards design to help design my lesson plans. For anyone unfamiliar with the principles of backwards design, take a look at Understanding by Design by Grant P. Wiggins and J. McTeague. So a little bit of background history. Have you ever heard of the expression walking in the footsteps of? Well, that's what comes to mind when I look back at the history of collaboration between the library and the biology department at UC Riverside. The UCR Library continues to enjoy a long and innovative tradition of collaborating with the faculty in the biological sciences, and this continues today. Our approach has certainly evolved over the years, but one of the constants has been our commitment to providing our students with the quality instruction grounded in best practices and theories. As you can see, we've provided 4 decades of support and have grown with new delivery methods such as computer-assisted instruction and online tutorials over the years. In 2014 to the present, we utilize a series of online tutorials created in our learning management system, our campus learning management system. For Biology 5LA, that consists of videos and 4 exercises that the students essentially go through and take on their own time, so asynchronously, to be able to then master the content and earn a badge. In addition, in fall of 2017, the in-person lesson was changed to introduce the topic of news literacy. And then in fall of 2018 and again in spring of 2018, we actually conducted a research project to determine how effective our instruction session really was. So what did the study tell us? Were we effective in our instruction? Turns out, without diving into the details, the data that we collected and analyzed from our literacy news evaluation research project provided us with enough information to support moving ahead with a new lesson plan and completely redesign it from the ground up. We basically found out that our students knew what we were teaching them, or essentially knew what we were teaching them, and we needed to change things up. So here's the redesigned lesson plan. We wanted to take the individual aspects of the user model and apply these different criteria. We wanted to ask a big question. What do we want our students to learn? So we settled on we wanted them to be able to understand how to evaluate critically different sources of information so that they can make informed information choices that will be relevant to what their information needs are. So these are the different aspects of that particular development. And what we came up with was a lesson plan that focused around the concept of vaccine hesitancy. And we landed on this because, one, it was timely. Two, it was authentic and active learning. And three, there was plenty of information and misinformation sources out there for us to utilize. This was introduced in summer of 2019 and has been used for every quarter since. So 2019, fall 2019, winter 2020, and we'll get to spring in a second. So what you're seeing here are screenshots basically of the lesson plan. It seems extremely detailed, but the first thing that you will potentially notice is that if you do the addition of the minutes that we assign to each section, it pretty much comes to about 50 minutes. The 50-minute one shot, which is the most difficult one to teach. But it's not impossible. And the beauty of this lesson plan is that it really doesn't necessarily have to be in a STEM field. It's not specific to one particular discipline. It can be repurposed and redesigned in a wide variety of disciplines. It could be arts, it could be humanities, it could be psychology, political science, as long as the objective is to have the students critically evaluate the information sources that they're looking at. So that's one of the things that you could reapply and reuse this lesson plan for. And of course, spring. Spring came and we needed to do a rapid redesign. We needed to think about teaching remotely and asynchronously. So we updated the topic. Of course, we settled on COVID-19. We needed to create new learning objects. We needed to create new assessments. And we also wanted to include, of course, feedback. Again, because the lesson plan lends itself to easy revision, we were able to make these changes fairly easily. The hardest part was actually just creating the new learning objects, which happened to be video recordings. And then our future plans. We want to make sure that we continuously incorporate universal design for learning. We want to make sure that we think about critical pedagogy to ensure equity, inclusion, and social justice. And we want to make sure that we continue the practice of evaluating and assessing what we're doing and making changes and revisions moving forward. Thank you, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me at UCR, and I will be more than happy to respond and answer any of your questions that you may have. Thank you.